are single men 30% more likely to own a home than single women? Most people think it's the gender pay gap, but there's actually something much more uncomfortable going on. There's a social norm that's keeping women out of the housing market during their peak home buying years. I'm Daryl Fairweather, Redfin's chief economist, and I dug in to millions of census records to figure out exactly what's going on. And what I found is that there is a marriage premium that makes it easier for married couples to buy a home. But there is also a social penalty that makes women hesitate to buy homes before marriage. Waiting for a wedding ring isn't just a romantic choice. It could be a financial mistake that costs you tens of thousands of dollars in home equity every year. Today, I'm breaking down the data and showing how the timelines have shifted for when people decide to get married, have children, and become homeowners. I'll show you how those timelines have changed, and then I'll take a look at research from University of Chicago economists that shows why women are delaying homeownership until marriage more often than men are. And then I'm going to give you my cheat codes for how to become a homeowner regardless of your timeline for getting married. Let's start with the analysis. Using millions of records from the census, I calculated the age at which most women become married, most women have children, and most women become homeowners. I calculated them all the same way so that these statistics can be directly compared. I honed in on the age at which half the population reaches all of these major milestones. Here's what I found in the data. Back in 2008, most women were married by age 24, had their first baby by age 25, and owned a home either by themselves or with their married partner by age 29. But by 2024, those ages had all gone up. Most women were married by 27, became a mother by age 30, and became a homeowner by age 31. So all three of those milestones moved later for women. But the age at which women became homeowners actually took a different path. The home ownership age for women peaked at around 32 years of age in 2015 and has actually come back down. Women are becoming homeowners younger. Marriage and parenthood, those kept drifting later on the timeline, but home ownership reversed course. So why did this happen? Well, it has to do with the pandemic. During the pandemic, mortgage rates dropped to record lows. And women who had been earning more and more as they progressed more in the economy were finally able to become homeowners at younger ages. So now women are becoming homeowners faster than they were 10 years ago, but they are still delaying marriage and delaying children more than before. In the last decade, women have delayed becoming mothers by the longest time frame. In 2015, women became mothers at around age 27, but now they're becoming mothers at around age 30. Compare that to the age at which most women are married. In 2015, most women were married at around age 26, and that's gone up to age 27. Not that big of a jump compared to the delay in having children. But for home ownership, women are actually becoming homeowners at earlier ages. In 2015, most women were homeowners by the age of 32, but now most women are homeowners by the age of 31. And that means that there are more women out there choosing to become homeowners before they get kids and before they get married. Now, the story looks a bit different for men. Back in 2008, men would first get married, then they would buy a home, and then they would have their first kid. By 2014, these orders changed. In 2014, most men got married first, then had their first kid, and then bought their first home. This was when home ownership started to get quite unaffordable. So it makes sense that this was when men started to delay home ownership the most. But in the last decade, these orders changed again. As of 2024, Men are becoming homeowners at age 33, and then they're getting married less than a year later, but they are delaying having their first child until age 35. So men, even more than women, are deciding to commit to a house before they commit to a spouse and kids. In general, people are deciding to become homeowners before they get married more and more often. But there is a critical difference between men and women. In general, women become homeowners at around age 31, but most of those women are becoming homeowners through marriage. They are marrying a man who already owns a home, or they are buying a home jointly. When you look at women who are becoming homeowners on their own, who are the heads of their own households, the age at which these single women become homeowners is older. It's 34 years old. That 3-year gap between when women become homeowners via marriage at age 31 versus when women become homeowners on their own at age 34 is the marriage premium for home ownership. Women who decide to become homeowners without a spouse are reaching that milestone 3 years later. So it's clear that marriage is helping women become homeowners earlier. But is that the full story? Is it really the marriage that's helping them? Or is there some other factor that makes married people more likely to be homeowners? So I dug back into those census records to try to separate these two things. I looked at people with the same income, same education, same age, and same city and asked, does being married still make a difference? After controlling for all of those factors, the answer is still a massive yes. Being married is like having a fast pass to home ownership. It makes you 30% more likely to be a homeowner, even after controlling for all those factors, including individual salary. But here's what's really surprising. Even after controlling for joint salary, that benefit of having two incomes to contribute to housing costs, the marriage premium does not go away. A married couple with, for example, a combined $120,000 salary is 26% more likely to own their home than a single person with that exact same salary who is the same age and lives in the same city. So, why is this? If it's not just about income, what else is going on? It's not about lending either, because lenders aren't allowed to consider your marital status when deciding whether to give you a loan or not. So, there must be something else going on. And here are the factors that I think are making this happen. First is that married couples are able to share fixed costs. Adults living in one home can split the chores, they can split the maintenance, and they can also split costs like insurance and property taxes. And all of those things allow them to become homeowners more easily than someone who is doing it by themselves. The second factor has to do with commitment psychology. People who have already made a lifetime commitment to a partner are going to be more willing to make a commitment to a 30-year mortgage. They've already chosen to settle down with a spouse, and now they're ready to settle for that house. The third factor has to do with timing. Couples are more likely to be in a stage of life where they are planning for their families, and that requires space that renting often can't provide. If you're ready to have kids, you're probably ready to buy that home with a yard and the extra bedrooms that you will be able to grow into with your growing family. So, all of that explains why people generally choose to get married before buying a home. But it doesn't explain why single men are increasingly choosing to become homeowners before they get married at higher rates than single women. And that comes down to an uncomfortable truth about social norms. Social norms explain why many women hesitate to buy a home even when they are financially ready to do so. So let's get back to the data. 31% of single men aged 25 to 34 are homeowners. But for single women the same age, it's just 23% of them that are homeowners. That 7-point gap means that single women are choosing to delay home ownership more than single men. Now, part of this has to do with the income gap. Single men earn more money than single women, which allows them to qualify for mortgages more easily. And according to a Redfin survey, only 35% of women said they could afford to buy a home that they'd want, compared to 53% of men. But it's not just about money. There are social factors at play. An economist from the University of Chicago figured out the mystery of exactly how this works. These Chicago economists studied what happens when wives earn more than their husbands, and here's what they found. When these researchers graphed the share of household income earned by the wife, there was a gap at 50%. There were couples missing right around the threshold where when the wife would start out earning the husband. And this means that couples are choosing not to form if the woman were to out earn the man. And I know this sounds like something out of the 1950s, but this study used modern data, and it explains why women may be hesitating to become homeowners before they get married. The researchers found that this resistance to wives earning more money than their husbands explains 23% of the decline in marriages since 1970. And there were real consequences for couples who braked the social norm. In couples in which women out-earned their husbands, these marriages were less likely to be happy and more likely to end in divorce. But it gets even darker than just unhappiness and divorce. According to Stephanie O'Connell's new book, The Ambition Penalty, women who are financial breadwinners in their heterosexual relationships were 35% more likely to experience violence from their husbands. They were also 20% more likely to experience emotional abuse. So you can see why women might hesitate to buy a home before they get married. If they get their dream home now, it might mean they end up in a nightmare marriage later on if their husband can't handle the fact that they became homeowners without their husband's help. According to Stephanie O'Connell, this backlash that women face from their husbands when they achieve financial success means that women subvert their own ambitions in order to appease their husbands. And this means that women may be choosing to stay renters longer just so they can wait to achieve that goal of home ownership until they are married and they can give their husbands the credit. But just because these social norms exist doesn't mean that you should adhere to them. If a man is threatened by the fact that you own your own home, that tells you exactly how they'll handle every future financial milestone. Think about how they would react when you get a promotion, or get a raise, or achieve other moments of success. The research shows that those relationships are doomed to fail. So waiting to buy doesn't solve the problem, it just delays discovering it. And it also costs you 3 years of equity in the process. So if you're a successful woman, it doesn't make sense to delay home ownership just because you're worried it could narrow your dating pool. You don't want those insecure men in your dating pool anyway. Filter them out and date the men who aren't threatened by your home ownership status. So now it's time for the cheat codes. Here are the guidelines that I would follow if I were deciding whether to buy a home before I got married. Number one, both buying a home and getting married depend on the same thing, your readiness to settle down. You need to stay put in a home for around 5 years to build equity to get ahead of where you would be at if you were renting. And if you want to stay open to being married, it might mean being open to changing your residence. And that could be a reason to delay home ownership, but it could also backfire. Plenty of married homeowners end up getting divorced and having to sell that jointly owned home. There's no risk-free way to order these decisions. So just think about whether you're ready to stay put. Do you like your city? Do you like your neighborhood? Do you like your job? Don't worry about the marriage part just yet. Number two, if you can afford to buy a home as a single woman, you should go for it. Don't let the fear of intimidating a future partner keep you renting. Some men will feel emasculated by your success, but that's a good thing. That's a filter, not a flaw. You shouldn't have to downplay what you've built and what you've achieved. Buy the house now and have the discussion about who moves in and who moves where until after you found that partner that you can actually talk to. Otherwise, you're just negotiating with yourself. Number 3, if you're already dating someone but you're not ready to get married, but you are ready to buy a home, make sure you get a property prenup. That's a contract that can spell out exactly who pays for what and what happens if you break up or one person wants to sell and one person doesn't. Decide how you're going to split expenses, how you're going to split equity, and who's going to pay rent to who. Cohabitating with a partner is a major commitment even without the marriage contract. You still need a tenancy agreement that protects both of you in the worst case scenario. Because without these agreements, you're exposing yourself to legal risk. And number 4 is about knowing whether you're actually ready to commit to that house. You can do all the planning in the world, and plans always change. So if you feel like there's a good chance you're going to stay in that home for 5 years, I'd say go for it. And then have a backup plan for if you want to move. You may want to just cut and run and sell the house, but you could also rent it out and become a landlord and keep that home and the equity for longer. But know that becoming a landlord is a business decision, so you shouldn't take it on lightly. The economy is changing, social norms are changing, and we are living through the unbundling of American adulthood. It used to be that marriage, home ownership, and kids would be a package deal, and you'd get them all by age 28. But now they're on separate tracks. Women are earning more money, and they are deciding to get married and have kids later. Social norms around whether the wife or the husband should be the primary breadwinner are changing the timeline for home ownership too. It's time to uncouple home ownership from marriage altogether. Men have already done this, and it's time for women to feel empowered to do the same. 10 years ago, men were getting married and having kids before becoming homeowners. The responsible adult way of doing things has always depended on affordability, and affordability has changed, so those timelines have changed too. So, my advice is to do things in the order that makes sense for your personal situation. Ignore the timelines that people have told you to go by, ignore the social norms, and just do what makes sense for you. Buy the home when you are ready to settle down, even if you aren't ready to settle for a spouse. But I want to hear from you in the comments. Tell me which conventional rule you've decided to break. Have you become a homeowner before getting married? Have you decided to have kids before becoming a homeowner? Let me know. And if you like this video, remember to subscribe, like the video, and stick around for the next one. Bye.